You know, as a guy that was a kid when the original trilogy came out and we couldn't just pop in Star Wars in a VCR or anything like that, we had to get as much Star Wars as we could. So if one of the actors were on the Mike Douglas show or something, we were going to watch it. We watched every interview we could take in. And then the prequels came and still wanted all the information I could. If I found out Natalie Portman was on something talking about it, I was going to watch it. Ewan McGregor was talking Star Wars, I wanted to hear what he had to say. And today, I find myself still checking in to see what they're saying about Star Wars, the new actors that is. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to look at how the actors promoted Star Wars back in the original trilogy days, back in the prequel days, and today with the new show, The Acolyte. So let's take a look at it from the original era, the prequel era, and today. And let's see if they still love and promote Star Wars the same way. Or maybe they've gotten better at it.
Carrie, you play in this film what I might describe as a damsel in distress, but a very unusual one in that you seem to be a very liberated, outspoken damsel. Is that what actually appealed to you about the part?
Well, what appealed to me was that George Lucas, who wrote it and also directed it, didn't want a damsel in distress, didn't want your stereotypical princess, you know, sort of a victim, frightened, incapable of dealing with the situation without the guys.
When it came to dropping into each character, I did a lot of backstory work. I also had 2 different scents for them. So I had a perfume that I would smell when I was dropping back into May, and then what I would smell when I was dropping back into Osha.
The first one laid the groundwork in the characters and set up his environment, the environment. But now you discover things that you thought you knew are untrue, especially the Obi-Wan character, who just symbolized purity. And Alec Guinness now, you discover, has lied to my character, possibly for his own gain. And I think that's great, because now he's sort of a shade of gray. It's not just pure black and white.
You were in Star Wars, would you be on the light or the dark side?
Dark side.
Yeah, 100% dark side. Dark side user right here.
Why specifically?
I'm so sorry, but the dark side is cooler.
It just is. I mean, that's why I was driven to write this story.
I always thought it was going to be a popular movie. It had all the humor, it was in the screenplay, as the art directors, John Barry and Ralph McQuarrie, the conceptual artist. I saw all the paintings and I thought, gee, this is a winner.
The truth is, like, we are so spoiled now with Star Wars media. I know that it can feel sometimes like, well, I like this thing and I don't like that thing, and if you don't like The Acolyte, that's fine.
You know, well, we had the opportunity to complicate that. If we hadn't introduced the characters in the first one and established the milieu, that we wouldn't have the opportunity to complicate the characterizations as much as we have in this one.
Ah, almost done. Still steaming, just one more crease. Oh, yes, I am still steaming. It's a large rope.
Hayden's character is obviously the one that's really going through the change, and mine is much more just reactive to that. Padme has a pretty centered self, that it's not that she goes through this big change internally, but that external things are changing around her, and she has to sort of make decisions to cope with that.
Jodie, can you tell us about your character?
So my character, you know, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes, yes.
One day the props master arrived at our fight studio bit and said, I'd like you to come and choose your lightsaber. And I went, oh, okay. And then I realized that it was a really big deal. We went in the props room, and then there was R2-D2, and I was screaming. I realized I go, ah! Like that, because it was R2-D2.
This is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
The climax is episode 3, where he actually does turn into Darth Vader. He actually becomes the evil he has been trying to fight, and it's a fun story to tell. Because it is the story of how a good person turns bad.
If you two had your own lightsabers in real life, I'm starting here, what color would it be?
Red.
Red.
I knew that. I said that about you yesterday.
Really?
I was like, Leslie's is red.
What does it say about you?
I mean...
Leslie is Sith.
Yeah, I'm dark-sided.
The transition into the dark side was a lot of fun for me because it was where I was wanting to go from the very get-go. And I wasn't really sure at the time why I was being asked to pull back, but now I understand it's because it has to take place at very specific points in this film.
There's always this good in you at this point. The good part is saying, what am I doing? And the bad part is saying, I'm doing this for Padme, I'm doing this for us, and it'll be better for the universe, it'll be better for everybody.
You know, she's really sort of going through a struggle, because I mean, that's Star Wars, right? Like, a struggle, going through a struggle.
Well, she's not a queen anymore. She's a senator, and because of that, she's allowed to, you know, wear less formal clothes, have more free time. She doesn't have as many formal duties, so it's really nice because that gives her the time to fall in love.
This is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you bracing yourself?
Star Wars.
Tell about your role as the princess.
Oh dear. Well, it's not your damsel in distress, average, everyday, run-of-the-mill princess. She doesn't scream and faint without the guys. She's okay on her own. George has written terrific characters for all of us. He didn't write sort of your, oh God, please help me, Mike, please, they're chasing me, the stormtroopers.
It's no longer believable, huh?
No, she's a very independent girl. She goes swing across, shoots stormtroopers, hangs around with Wookiees and Jawas and sand people, you know.
People have been talking to me online about how Darth Vader is such a bad person. It's very clear, and it's very well established from those actions. But if you can't look and see that Anakin blowing up the Death Star possibly killed millions and millions of people. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this right now.
You should just shut up.
It's just like,
shut up. I love
that
you.
is, but that is the beauty of this story.
What I've enjoyed specifically is that we've created a relationship on screen that mirrors our relationship off screen, and that we both get on terribly well. But we've made an incredible bond and a real friendship there, so that there is something important that's lost.
I think it's pretty evident that York cares about how he presents himself. You got to make sure that you look good for everybody. So, Steam.
Master Soul.
It's weird because as an actor, you don't really think about the action part of the film being all too important, or, you know, important to your character at least. And in this, it is, and it's just so exciting, you know, because you know what it looks like on screen when they're all lit up and the sounds are going. It's just cool.
What color lightsaber would you have? Not your character, but in real life, if you could have a lightsaber, what color would it be?
Red.
Why?
Because I'm a Sith.
Oh my God.
I'm evil. I don't know what to tell you.
It's even scarier that you own it that way.
Yeah, red.
I feel like purple.
Yeah.
Okay.
So loyal to George, and I owe him so much. He at one time said, would you consider playing an Obi-Wan type character, handing Excalibur down to the next generation? I said, when would that be? And at the time he said around 2011. I thought, gee, as much as I'd like to have a job lined up at the turn of the century, I was figuring out how old I'd be at that point, and I thought, well, I don't know.
There's three, right? I think there's three.
I think purple. Or pink, because, you know,
you're a little
my daughter
evil.
would approve.
Wait, has there ever been a pink lightsaber?
I don't think so. I think it's too close to red.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I think the true feminism is bringing what is particular to women, because we are different, that's undeniable, to the opportunities that men have. So it's not, you know, going into some place and just behaving like a man or necessarily desiring what men want just because you can get it.
In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be in that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
George made a movie that he wanted to see, not a movie that he thought the public would want to see, because if he thought that if he'd made a movie like that, we would be seeing a disaster film again or something like that, probably. It's a pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention of it.
That belief that, you know, you're not just one thing, you know. But I also think, you know, Mother Anastasia represents a philosophy that is more about connection to life and less about connection to dogma.
Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker were indeed George Lucas.
I still believe this very strongly, because George is like a kid that is so smart they put him in college at age 11. He loves toys, comic books. I think he sat down and thought, well, what would I like to do
I mean, when he wrote the character, well, I get to swing across with the princess. I'll write that down.
Rebecca, how did you process it? Like,
I don't think I really processed it until my first day on set in the Jedi robes, green, and in a Jedi temple, which was actually built. And then I was like, huh, okay.
In terms of the lightsaber fights, it's all choreographed, and every move is distinct and pre-planned. He spends hours just premeditating how every, the angle of the saber should look. So he I think, picks and chooses from so many different types of martial arts and ways of fighting with swords, and sort of comes to his own medium and his own way of fighting, the Jedi way of fighting.
I mean, there is this, like, this movement is utilized often, and it's the way you're, like, maintaining chi and balance. But I thought for May, like, having it be a little crooked, like a little more twisted would make more sense for her.
I have not seen, with the exception of Rocky, in the last few years, the kind of audience participation and audience reaction for and to a film that we have for Star Wars.
It's great to sit in a theater and see people really enjoy something like that.
Have you done it? Have you been?
Yeah.
Any of you? Have you gone to see a theater just anonymously, just go in as a patron?
It's easy to be anonymous at this point, really. Nobody recognizes us when we go into a theater.
And if you don't like the acolyte, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Well, the name of the movie is Star Wars. It is going to be one of the biggest money-making movies of our time, no doubt about it. One of the big hits of the summer. And these are 3 of the non-robots from Star Wars.
Hey, Junkman channel popping, though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.